There it is, AKAPADers. This is a generic comic book, and what I consider to be the greatest generic comic book ever produced. 2001 to 2003. This series ran for 13 issues. I've only seen, read, and experienced issue 2. I was so blown away by this that I said, what the heck? Let's do a video, let's drop it on a Friday, and let's celebrate independent ideas. Let's go. This is something we're all fascinated by. Movie titled movie, novel titled novel, comic book titled comic book. The generic comic book. We're going to hit that drawing table. I want to bring you guys through this. This has floated around here for quite some time. I finally got to read it earlier, and it blew me away. Because, I don't know, I'm not sure how to receive this. I'm not sure exactly what this book is. It's a generic comic book, 2001. Our writer later went off to produce generic comic books, some of them for Avatar Press, great publisher. Our artist, he's still in the game, he's still drawing, but never really took off. This is part of the pain of independent comics. This book here, this is issue 2 of 13. There's a Halloween special. There's a whole spectrum of colors. I think it's a little bit wild that I never seen this before. I wasn't sure what this was. I had to do some research. As I'm talking to you, you're seeing some of it on the screen. We got some individuals right now trying to make a generic comic book, or like a comic book titled comic book. And when we approach this genre within comics, it's the idea of like, what tropes do we bring in? Do we make it superhero? Do we not make it superhero? Do we make it more of a product? Do we make it a commentary on the product? And the list goes on. This is issue 2, as I've already said. And this is the beginning of an exploration of this, because I need all of these. I need everything from this comic book run. To me, it's amazing. It ran multiple years, 2001 to 2003. 13 issues, Halloween special, like all this wild stuff. And usually on Fridays, I've been trying to do more independent books, more underground books, more outlaw books, trying to get back into that flavor. So, AKAPADers, we're going to hit the drawing table, and I'm going to bring you through what I believe to be the greatest generic comic book ever produced. Let's go. So if you haven't seen, I have red hands. I got some red on this cover here, and the reason for that is, I was kind of working on a Wonder Man here, and I just been live streaming some of my, random Avengers notebook here, like notebook, sketchbook, but it's from like an activity kit that I opened up on my live stream. I've been battling pulling off Hank McCoy's hair or not. His hair's tough to draw. I mean, if you're drawing it for a first time. This is one of the only times you will hear me praise the use of the inside comic book cover and the use of the inside back cover for comic book sequentials. Usually, I'm very much against this. I believe that there's a psychological hit when you open up a comic book and the page is right there. The beginning of the story is right in your face. But we're dealing with a generic comic book here, like so much so, even our indicia. Generic comic book 2. Comics conspiracy publications. Such a tiny publisher, it may as well be generic. All rights reserved, nonetheless. There's a self-awareness in this. but there's also like a stream of consciousness of what the idea is. And the idea is really evil corporation. They're charging everything. We have our like evil billionaire, trillionaire. And essentially here, but got AK powers. I mean, we have some amazing scenery here. I mean, look at that, the detail for those mountains. Some nice reactions, right? I mean, look. This is, you can kind of tell this is an artist learning his chops. But as a black and white, our boy here, and let's just give him a little bit of a shout out. A Milton Santos, and Doug Mears is our writer, but our artist is Milton Santos. So I don't know if he's drawn other issues. I don't know if the other issues in this have different art teams. But for black and white, Mr. Santos fills every single panel. If you're a publisher, he has delivered, right? Like you get some bang for your buck. But we have almost like a description here of a generic city. We have a cloaked individual, very much like the Blank in the Tracy movie. And throughout this issue, he rips people off. He even rips off our superhero, but he sells them comics. And then like the people look at the comics and they see that they're like damaged or busted. Like here, like our Superman archetype here, who's also on a skateboard. And guys, big shout out for drawing some vehicles. But yeah, I mean, look right here. Got a hunch. I have here a mint copy of the first issue of Generic Comic Book Version Edition. So they're arguing about like one of them has like a yellow cover, and I did look it up. Issue 1 has a yellow cover. I guess maybe all of them had a second printing that were white covers, but these are a spectrum of colors. And then you see like, wait a minute, he gets ripped off and the guy like runs off and he's like, ha 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 ha. So when I say a stream of consciousness, we basically go from the city, this guy rips off a kid. We go to a press conference, and within the press conference, we hear that, like this isn't too ridiculous. This guy's basically talking about everything you do electronically being a subscription, and they're going to milk the consumer. And then this guy's playing a video game, and he's like, look, I can't believe this. They blocked my games. So he charges after the guy. They punch him, and he emerges as like basically Superman. So they go on a pursuit here, and he fights him, and he's very violent, which I like, because I just think it just adds to the comedy, and these guys are freaked out. But they all jump in the limo, they speed off, and he races on his skateboard here to save the day or to catch up to them, and he tracks them down to their Beverly Hills P. Diddy house. And then here, just out of nowhere, he gets ripped off by the cloaked comic book dealer. Gets chased by a dog, and he ends up in this like, almost like comic book fantasy room. Like there's pinball machines, there's arcades, there's comic books all over the place. AKA powders. I know a lot of you guys have this as your room. And then he confronts the billionaire, the evil billionaire, who is the cloaked individual, but it turns out to be a kid. And then he challenges a kid to a video game, and it's either it's like they just play for like a comic book collection, and in the end the guy wins, and that's it. That's Generic Comic Book issue 2, the end. But I just want you guys to be able to see that this visually has like a nice flow to it. I like the generic comic book being all comic book. Like every corner of these pages is all to sell this idea that this is a generic comic book. I don't know if this is a reference, because I feel like I've seen this clip art or image or drawing before. But this is highly enjoyable and somewhat of a rabbit hole. I'm befuddled that this ran for 13 issues and I've never seen it before. And I'm kind of upset that this floated around the AKAPAD Adobo for so long. My sewer, that just floated around my sewer for so long that I wish I brought this to you guys a little bit earlier. But be on the lookout. We're going to do more of generic comic book by Doug Mears. This is our team here, but story by Doug Mears, and this is fully capable. I mean, he fills up the panels. Just I'm talking for Doug for dialogue, and I think this is a book too that benefits from no captions, because, like I said, it reads like a flow of consciousness, and I think it adds to the humor. Like, that this is not meant to be taken seriously, and I think it's great.